What does God say about me? I remember I was on an Instagram live and the host, Kaya Hopkins, shout out to Kaya, she says something along the lines of like agreeing with what God says about you. And that hit me so hard. I was like, okay, I feel like sometimes we're always trying to figure out like what does God say about me, or what is God telling me to do, and sometimes we kind of fight that. And so if every day we're just agreeing to be who God has called us to be, maybe that'll make the process just a little bit easier. I don't know. So I remember adding it to my affirmations and being like every morning like, yes, okay, God, I agree with what you say about me. I agree with what you say about me. And every morning I would say that, God, I agree with what you say about me. And we may not always know at that time like what God has called us to do or who he has called us to be. And so one day I'm in the mirror saying my daily affirmations like, God, I agree with what you say about me. And God was like, well, what do I say about you? I was like, oh, okay, I mean, you put me on the spot, but I literally stopped like a deer in headlights. I was like, okay. So I was like, well, we need to do some research. I need to start digging. Like, I need to go to your word and figure out, what do you say about me? And this really got me digging into the word and just trying to figure out, what does God say about his people? What does he say about us? What am I saying that I agree to? So I know that saying I agree with what God says about me is a future statement, and I'm agreeing to what is to come, but it helped me to kind of pinpoint in his word what he says about me. So it wasn't, I've called Jaida to do this. I've called Jaida to be this. I'm calling Jaida to one day get this done. It was also, what have you already said that I haven't acknowledged about me, about his people, about us? I was like, okay. So the first thing that I learned is he says that I am loved. John 3:16. And I was like, okay. So then that became part of my daily affirmations. You say that I am loved, and I agree with that. Because sometimes you're going through a breakup, you're going through a friendship breakup, and you don't always feel so loved. And it just reminded me that he always says that I am loved. So I agree with that. If I continue to say every morning, God, I agree with what you say about me. I agree that I am loved. The second thing that I learned that God says about me is he says that I have a purpose. Jeremiah 29:11, that is literally one of my favorite scriptures. And I never broke it down and saw it like that, like in that one statement, like he says that I have purpose. And I was like, okay. Every day I'm agreeing that I have a purpose. I have a reason to wake up today. I have a reason to get things done. I have a reason to spend time with you. I have a reason to listen to you. I agree with what you're saying about me, and you are saying that I have purpose, so I'm meant to be here. The third thing that I learned about what God says in his word is that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalms 139 verse 14, and I feel like a lot of us, at least those of us that have grown up in church, you always hear that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I remember thinking, well, what does that mean? What does being made fearfully mean? What does being made wonderfully mean? What does that mean? And I remember just going to God about it. And when I hear being fearfully made, when I hear this, I think about how a parent, how this relates to parenting. Being a parent is so rewarding, yet so nerve-wracking. I don't want to say fearful, nerve-wracking. Because you know that you can protect your child, but there's only so much that you can protect them from. So for lack of better words, it can be a little scary. And when I heard that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, I thought about how I'm a parent and how I want to love and protect my son. And I can protect him from certain things, but I can't protect him from everything. And so when I heard that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that made me think of children, how they are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's only but so much that we can do. And it can be scary. It can put a little bit of fear in us, for lack of better terms. But it's such a wonderful experience. And that really broke that thing down for me. It really made sense when I put it together like that. The fourth thing that I've learned about who God says we are is He says that we are His. And that's from 1 John 3:1. And I was like, really, that's all I need. If you say that I'm yours, that I belong to you, that means so much to me. And I feel like coming from a fatherless household, it took me a while to kind of grasp that fatherly love that everybody talks about with God, because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that looked like. And so I kind of had to like create that relationship with God to figure out what it means when He says that I am His. But when I learned about God, oh my gosh, I feel like I want to cry. When I learned about how much He loves us, and when I learned about His love, that statement hit hard when He says, you are mine. I am His. And when you really put that together, when you really understand the kind of love that God has for us, it will do justice. I promise you. It's really good. So I started affirming, of course, every day, God, I agree with what you say about me. But then I started saying those things. God, I am yours. God, I have purpose. God, I am loved. God, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And He wants that for you. He wants you to know all of these things. He wants you to dig even deeper and to see, what else do I say about you? There are so many things He says about us. I'm just pinpointing a couple of things that have helped me. There are so many things that He says about us that we can go and look at and be like, this applies to this situation, and this has helped me through this. And you really say this about me? Like when I hear Friend of God by Israel Houghton, I always stop and I say, God, you really consider me a friend? Like, you love me that much? That's crazy. Like, I'd be like, who am I that you are mindful of me? Oh, like you listening to me when I cry out to you? Me? Oh my gosh. What? Like, that sounds crazy to me. Like, I'm like, who am I that you are mindful of me? And it just hits so hard when you really start to establish that relationship with God, and you really start to like manifest the relationship that you want with Him, and seeing how much He loves us, it really will start to hit different. I promise you.